start? I don't feel so good.
You're all right.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know. Hurry. I don't want to go. I don't want to go, sir. Please. Please, I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
We're the Avengers. We can bust arms to us all live long day, but that up there, that's the end game.
The only thing you really fight for is yourself.
You died, I feel like that's on me.
You're not the guy to make the sacrifice play, to lay down on a fire and let the other guy crawl over you. You know, you may not be a threat, but you better stop pretending to be a hero.
I just wanted to be like you.
And I wanted you to be better. Threat is imminent, and I have to protect the one thing that I can't live without. That's you.
Tell me his name again.
Thanos.
It's you who doesn't understand that Thanos has been inside my head for 6 years, since he sent an army to New York, and now he's back. And I don't know what to do. Last night, I dreamt we had a kid.
What do you remember about your dad, huh? He was cold. He was calculating. He never told me he loved me. He never even told me he liked me. So it's a little tough for me to digest when you're telling me he said the whole future was riding on me and he's passing it down. I don't get that.
Tony, I'm limited by the technology of my time. But one day you'll figure this out. And when you do, you will change the world.
How are you guys planning on meeting me?
Together.
We'll lose. And we'll do that together too.
How many did we win?
You know, I think I understand why you don't want to give up the suits. What am I going to complain about now?
Suits, they're part of me.
You're in a relationship with me. Everything will never be okay. Part of the journey is the end. Just for the record, being adrift in space with zero promise of rescue is more fun than it sounds. He's my friend. So was I.
You know me?
I do. You're not the only one cursed.
My only curse is you.
What is and always will be my greatest creation is you.
Big names. Take that off.
Stark, can you hear me? It's Peter. You won. Mr. Stark. You won, Mr. Stark. You won. You did it, sir. You did it. I'm sorry, Tony.
Okay, if you haven't already noticed, guys, we are watching Endgame spoilers today. And, yeah. I'm getting the picture done that I've been trying to do. I did try a moment ago, if you check to the other video, to record as well as put something in that I've been listening to in the background, because I like to listen to stuff and I like to find out stuff as I'm drawing, about what I'm drawing, really. But there's loads about at the moment. Oh, spoiler wise, not as much, not in great detail, but yeah, we've listened to a few reviews this week. Hopefully you haven't been enjoying this week, and you're not too upset of the outcome of Endgame. It's opened up the path, or open up new doorways for other films to be able to be made now they've got time travel and things like that in it. But we lost one of our biggest and the first ship sailor to get the MCU kicked off. Yeah, guys, it was something I wasn't expecting at all. I didn't expect him to go out the way he did, but he went out in a blaze of glory, or so I say, in one snap of a moment. But like again, guys, I don't think it's completely the end of the Iron Man character. The same as it won't be, because no hero ever really dies. But in the MCU, they really did do great fan service, and I must say, I mean, huge props to the people of makers of this film, all makers, every director that's worked on any film. They have done the best thing that they could have ever done. So yeah, guys, if you want to learn any more about my thoughts and stuff, definitely check out all the other videos, because I talk about it and as the reviews and stuff as I go along, and get this picture done. We did this on paper on Monday, then that was a sketch with paper and pencil and things like that, and on Tuesday we inked it and we fine-lined the pictures and got things correct and the way I wanted it to be. And then on Wednesday we coloured it in with Copic markers, pencils, and loads of other different techniques to give it different shadings and different stuff like that. Everything that I did, I have shown you guys, are all in different section videos, phase 1, 2, and we're in phase 6 now, I believe. 6.2, because I did try to do this once before. Like I said, if you haven't checked out what I did last time and how I got all the colours and what textures I used, and what this app is, it's called Critter. It's completely free. If you guys want to check it out for yourself, then there should be a link on this video. If not, then there'll be a link on the other video. Don't forget to check those out if you are a budding artist for yourself and you want to get this for yourself. Again, it's completely free. All you got to do is download it for your PC. It does work with Wacom's and Google Pads and things like that. I don't know anything about that because I haven't actually gone around and got to doing that. But what I have done is got this, and I have been doing each stage, and I've tried to do a bit of shading. Last time the computer was freaking out, so I'll stop worrying about that so much. I'm now going to be continuing on with more shading. I'll probably find you something in a moment so you can listen to something while I shade this. I'm going to use different textures, different tools, and loads of good stuff. Just putting in, adding in the shading. I put a texture in a moment ago. If you don't see them, definitely rewind, because they do pop up when I go over them like that. But this is recorded, guys. My name's Blut084, BLUT084 Art and Games. I'm here every single day on YouTube. Occasionally on Mixer, but every day and night over on Instagram. So if you want to leave me a message, you can do either those ways. If you're watching this, the best way is to leave a comment down below, and I'll respond to that as quickly as humanly possibly. More than likely straight away after, because everything that pops up on my phone. Let me know how you watch my videos. Do you watch them on your phone? Do you watch them on your computer? Do you watch them via your console? I'm also a gamer. I do like to stream in the evenings, sometimes in the daytime. It really depends when I stream and what I'll be doing. It. But now I'm just putting in shading. This may be a video where I just start out and then I come back in a later date to finish this off. Maybe do it off stream, because I've got a feeling this is going to be quite a lengthy amount of time that I'm going to have to take on this one. But I'm not going to complain, because I have, as always, enjoyed doing this. I'm literally just putting in shading because it needs it. The other picture had a little bit of shading in there. This needs a bit of shading too. Trying a similar thing to what I did on the paper, but as you all know, things are different on the computer than it is on than it is on here, as you can tell. Just putting in all the shading. I don't want too much shading, but I want a little bit of shading. You need shading, guys. It just gives you depth to the picture. No matter what picture you're drawing, you still need that bit of shading. We're going a bit too dark there. Can go back over all of this if I want to, though, with the lighter shade for the places I think I think I've gone over a bit too dark there. At the moment I'm using the sprayer tool, airbrush. It's very good. It's actually one of the only tools I really use for shading is the airbrush tool. I find it's the best. It reacts the best way to the way I want it to do. So do it, sort of thing. It's very good shading. Well, I think it does. I'm still no professional, guys. I'd never claim to be. I know a few techniques and things I've done over the years, though. Trying to leave it so I've got not everything shaded, because then you just end up being well, you can see a grey mess at the moment. We'll go into the suit in a moment. Okay, one side of his face shaded, so let's turn the opacity. Come on. Let's turn the opacity right down. Get the biggest I think I can handle. And we'll go over the whole thing. Move my microphone. Sorry, guys. There we go. Put some shading in there as well. Needs a little bit of shading, but not a great amount. Doesn't look two-sided then. There's going to be light obviously coming from these stones, things like that. Right, I'm not going to put any more shading there because I think I'm already overdoing it. So I'm going to leave that there, like that, and move down to the suit. But I think what I'll do is I'll have something you play in the background too. So let me find something for you. Maybe some spoiler videos. I did have a video playing in the background earlier on, but that one seemed to have bugged my computer out. So maybe it's so much going on visually, can't handle having to record it at the same time. But let me quickly tell you about layers. Each layer is very important. I have each layer has a designation or has a reason for it to be in. That's the actual background. But we'll go to the top layer. If I put that back on, see what I'm trying to do. I am trying to achieve that similar kind of shading, but it doesn't work as well when you're trying to do it. Oops, wrong one. That was the one I was working on last time. Yeah, so that's what we did on paper. So I just get rid of that one again, and that's what we're doing here or in the computer. That's why I want to do different shading, different shades of this as well. We're going to move down to the armor now, and then we'll go on to the gauntlet last and add all this lighting. We'll use the gauntlet as the main lighting. We've got a bit of lighting down here on the things here, but I did say I was going to put something on for you, so I'm going to do that. Let's find a spoiler video. Okay, there's lots of mega spoiler videos. Let's go into my history. So I can just get on. Not have to chat. Sorry about this, guys. It's taking me a moment to reload this up. Doing those all kind of working.
Honey is a free browser add-on available on Google, Opera, Firefox, Safari. Incarnation, finally, of this character. He's a lone Japanese warrior. He kills the Yakuza boss Akihiko, a Yakuza villain from the Marvel Comics. He and Clint face off in a long, unbroken sword duel, and the filmmakers were able to pull this off because Akihiko is played by a badass Japanese actor Sanada Hiroyuki, who has played a ton of Yakuza and samurai roles all over the place, including Shinjin Yoshida in The Wolverine.
Back at HQ, Banner, Scott, and Rhodey debate the rules of time travel in this movie. They reference past time travel stories like Back to the Future, Terminator, Time Cop, Quantum Leap, Hot Tub Time Machine. But the first reference is Star Trek, which actually was a direct inspiration for the plot of Endgame. The screenwriter screenwriters said it was Kevin Feige himself who tasked them to bring time travel into the Endgame story. And Feige has compared the story to the finale episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, which featured multiple alternate timelines all having to converge together to save the universe. Rhodey suggests killing Thanos as a baby, a nod to the baby Hitler premise, which we saw play out in Deadpool 2, but Banner explains that time travel in this movie does not result in a ripple effect change to your own timeline. It creates a new branch timeline alongside the original timeline, which remains unchanged.
So after a successful test with Clint, the gang comes back together. Stark calls Thor Lebowski because dude looks exactly like Jeff Bridges playing the dude in The Big Lebowski. Bridges also, though, played Obadiah Stane in the first Iron Man, and Thor being the dude now is also kind of a callback to the Guardians, marveling at his amazing physique in Infinity War.
He is not a dude. You're a dude. This is a man.
The Avengers then brainstorm their time heist, leading them to revisit the plots of past Marvel films. So amazing, including Thor the Dark World, which Thor drunkenly had been making fun of. The Dark Elves, ooh, scary. There's that photo of Jane Foster, and that's actually the same image from the first Avengers when Coulson explained why she wasn't in that movie.
They realized that 3 stones were in New York at the same time. The Space Stone in the Tesseract, the Mind Stone in Loki's Scepter, and the Time Stone in the Sanctum Sanctorum in the Eye of Agamotto necklace, located over on Bleecker Street. Actually, originally, the screenwriters said that early drafts featured Tony Stark going to Asgard instead, considering that Ether and the Tesseract were both briefly there at the same time. Apparently, Tony was going to be in an invisible stealth suit, then have to fight Heimdall, who would be able to see him. There also rejected ideas to go to Morag when it was still underwater, or to go to the Triskelion, and they said that someone was just gonna hop in their car and drive to Doctor Strange's house. Yeah, eventually Joe Russo just said, hey, this is Avengers Endgame, why don't we just go back to the first Avengers? And everyone's like, shut the front door. And real quick, the side details of this brainstorming session are amazing. Hulk eats this ice cream flavor, a hunka hulka burning fudge. Remember, that was the Ben & Jerry flavor, a favorite of Wong in Infinity War.
A hunka hulka burning fudge is our favorite.
That's a thing?
And yeah, Nebula just can't use chopsticks, apparently.
So Cap gives his pre-mission speech and they throw their hands in, and it creates this really cool visual that they really focus on from that above shot. Tony Stark's original arc reactor has that same design that their fists are making over the time travel device. Platform, sure. All of that is actually foreshadowing that original arc reactor's return in the funeral scene. It also foreshadows the weakness that Tony's old school arc reactor contains, which present-day Tony actually is going to exploit. Also, that hands-in shot is similar to the cover of the issue of the new Avengers, in which the Marvel Illuminati use the Infinity Stone to reassemble the Infinity Gauntlet. So the Avengers then zip down into the quantum realm, flying through time vortexes. Vortexes, they resemble wormhole tunnels that each split off in different directions, reflecting the branched timelines that these disruptions of the main timeline will cause.
Okay, let's break down each stone mission one by one. First, let's talk about the Time Stone, which they retrieved by going to the Battle of New York from the first Avengers film in 2012, but Banner/Hulk finds the Ancient One in the middle of this battle on the roof of the Sanctum Sanctorum, confirming that the sorcerers were actually helping in this Battle of New York, just behind the scenes, kind of protecting their own turf.
Just the roof of their building.
Now, you might be saying that the Ancient One was not the guardian of the New York Sanctum before Strange. Remember, that was Master Drum, but maybe Drum was just on the ground level here, and the Ancient One was giving back up on the roof, and yeah, everyone wants to see Tilda Swinton again. The Ancient One knocks Banner out of his Hulk body into the astral plane, just like she did to Stephen Strange when they first met in Kamar Taj. And even though it's 4 years before Strange will even become a sorcerer, the Ancient One is aware of him and his destiny as Sorcerer Supreme. Since remember, she does have the Time Stone, she probably uses it to see into the future. So I guess if the Ancient One made anyone else aware of Strange's future general importance, that might explain how Hydra considered Strange a person of interest in 2014.
Bruce Banner, Stephen Strange, anyone who's a threat.
So the Ancient One draws a big timeline and explains to Banner how removing the stones causes the timeline to split into branch realities. Her theory of timeline meddling was actually established already by Mordo back in Doctor Strange.
Temporal manipulations can create branches in time.
But Banner then tells her that Strange willingly surrendered the Time Stone to Thanos, and a little light goes on above the Ancient One shining off her forehead. We all got excited because suddenly all of our theories that Doctor Strange had a mysterious plan involving timelines were kind of confirmed, except they weren't exactly what we predicted, but they were very close. The Ancient One said she was unable to see past her death, but she trusts that future Strange will know more about the complexities of timelines than anyone else could. Next, the Reality Stone in ether form in Asgard back in 2013 during the events of Thor: The Dark World. Loki, Jane Foster, and Thor's mother Frigga reappear from that movie. Frigga asks Thor what's wrong with his eye, and he says that it was injured in the Battle of Hurricane, which is a callback to when he and Sif recalled the Battle of Hurricane in The Dark World.
I remember you celebrated the Battle of Hurricane so much that you nearly started the second.
There's actually another really cool MCU Easter egg in Asgard here. But first, thank you to Honey for sponsoring this breakdown. Honey is a free browser extension to save you money when you shop online. When you buy anything, if you're not actively shopping around for the best deal, then you're probably not getting the best deal. But Honey actually takes care of that for you. So when you shop online, Honey scans the internet for coupon codes and other discounts. Then it automatically applies that coupon with the biggest savings to your cart at checkout. It's like magic. It works on over 20,000 sites like Amazon, eBay, GameStop, Best Buy, and more. And it takes zero effort to install, really just 2 clicks. By going to joinhoney.com/newrockstars, anyone can use Honey because it works for practically anything you buy online. In fact, 10 million people are currently already saving money with Honey. 10 million people, that's insane. Just look at these reviews actually from other Honey users. Carity said if you order stuff regularly without using Honey, you're actually throwing money away. And Alicia said, I'm not one to use products, services, etc. that I see YouTubers promote all that often, but after seeing someone talk about Honey, I had to try it, and let me tell you, it's incredible. Now this might sound too good to be true, I get it. It's like, wait, this is free and it saves you money? Ooh, what's going on? But when you use a coupon code provided by Honey, this is how it works. They earn a small commission from the merchant, and then they pass along some of those savings to their members. It's a win-win for everybody. There's really no reason not to start using Honey today. It's free to use and easy to install on your computer in just 2 clicks. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/newrockstars. That's joinhoney.com/newrockstars, and thanks again to Honey for sponsoring this breakdown. Couldn't have done it without you. Mwah. Okay, back to Asgard. When Thor reconnects with his mother, he drinks the same Asgardian liquor that he and Cap shared with Stan Lee in Age of Ultron.
This was aged for 1,000 years. The barrels built from the wreck of Grunhild's fleet is not meant for mortal men.
Neither was Omaha Beach, Blondie. Stop trying to scare us.
And after Rocket steals the ether out of Jane, the Asgardians chasing him shout, "Stop, rabbit!" Apparently, Rocket just looks like all the Asgardian rabbits. It just means that Asgardian rabbits are like pretty jacked. They're like big dudes. Next, the Space Stone and the Mind Stone are in Avengers Tower and is back in the Battle of New York in 2012. One really cool thing about this sequence is the way that it connects the dots between the end of the first Avengers movie and what came after. We've always wondered some details here. For instance, he previously had just shown up randomly with like this mouth gag on, which could have been for a bunch of weird reasons, but actually it was because it was slapped on him by Thor after Loki wouldn't stop impersonating the other Avengers, like Cap setting up Loki's later Cap impersonation in the Dark World. Then Agent Sitwell, Brock Rumlow, and Secretary Pierce, they all show up and they're all secretly part of Hydra, so when they take Loki's scepter, Sitwell mentions bringing it to Dr. List, which finally explains how he came to have the scepter in the beginning of Age of Ultron. Cap, of course, then retrieves it in a callback to the famous So Good elevator scene from Winter Soldier, but he avoids the fight completely by just whispering, "Hail Hydra," which is actually a reference to the comics where Cap is actually potentially a member of Hydra and has a similar little speech bubble. Yeah, that awkward time in Cap's history we all just forget about. In the lobby, Thor says that they are headed to lunch, a nod to the shawarma post-credit scene after Avengers, and Tony has Ant-Man restage the armor infiltration from Civil War on his past self, knowing that in 2012, that was before he got his arc reactor surgery in Iron Man 3, and that old school arc reactor would make that version of Stark vulnerable to sudden cardiac arrest, as he was in the first Iron Man movie. But Stark is such an expert in the timeline of his own armor generations that he knew an electric shock from Thor's hammer wouldn't kill him, because remember, in the first fight of that movie with Thor, the lightning just supercharged his suit. In every MCU film, the new Iron Man armor fixes vulnerabilities that were exposed in previous films. Kind of like that nanotech armor in Infinity War was just a way to prevent Ant-Man from being able to slip in the cracks, as he did in Civil War. But Tony's knowledge here of his own history allows him to exploit a previous flaw in his own system.
So then Cap uses the same tactic to defeat his past self and score the Mind Stone. The two Caps have the great fight with the younger one saying, "I could do this all day," which the old man is rolling his eyes saying, I know. But present Cap breaks the headlock by saying, "Bucky is alive," which, yeah, that's the MCU equivalent of "Save Martha." But actually, it's not just that, because present Cap is actually remembering his fight with Crossbones in Civil War when Rumlow distracts him and breaks his concentration by bringing up Bucky.
Hey pal, your buddy, Bucky. What did you say?
Martha! Stark almost got away with the Space Stone, but his past self forcing Hulk to take the stairs caused Hulk to smash through the door and hit present Stark. Later in the movie, Stark says that the past has a way of messing back with you, so present Stark also walks away from this meddling with a few bruises thanks to his past self getting back at him. 2012 Loki snatches the Tesseract and portals away, creating probably a new branch timeline, most likely. But this forces Stark to think back on the last time the Space Stone and extra Pym particles were in the same place, and he realizes that in 1970, his father Howard Stark worked with Hank Pym at the SHIELD base at Camp Lehigh in New Jersey. That is the camp where Steve Rogers trained in his first movie, and where Cap realized Hydra had corrupted SHIELD in Winter Soldier. That base got destroyed then.
So Stark and Cap jump again, and here we see the final Stan Lee cameo. He plays an anti-war hippie who drives past a military base shouting, "Make love, not war." But actually the bumper sticker on the car also reads, "Nuff said," which was one of Stan's catchphrases. Also, Cap's stolen uniform has the name Roscoe on it. Roscoe Simons was the name of the character who briefly took over the Captain America mantle when Steve Rogers became Nomad in the comics. Meanwhile, Tony's stolen blazer features the old school SHIELD logo from the comics.
This whole time heist seems to borrow a bit from the Christopher Nolan movie Inception, which is a similar group heist that featured perfect timing and layers within layers. And here, in this deepest layer, while stealing the Tesseract, Tony Stark has a cathartic reunion with his father, much like the father-son catharsis at the bottom layer of Inception. Howard Stark finds Tony saying that he's looking for Dr. Zola, a reference to Zola, the Hydra operative who secretly corrupted SHIELD. And Cap finds Peggy Carter's office, reminding him of his wonderful North Star in this movie, and then he goes into Hank Pym's lab where he passes the original Ant-Man helmet from the comics, and he steals some Pym particle vials. Now, we'll break down all the complicated timeline ramifications another timeline, but we should note that it's not really clear whether Cap ever returns these Hank Pym particles. So these missing vials could be the source of Hank Pym's distrust of Howard Stark.
You turned me into your errand boy, and now you try to steal my research?
Howard's driver is actually Edwin Jarvis, the origin of Tony's Jarvis voice and the AI that would later become Vision. He's played by James Darcy, who actually plays Jarvis in the Agent Carter TV series, and this is actually the first character to cross over from Marvel TV to the films. Sorry, all those promises to the Netflix actors. And moving on to the Power Stone on Morag, the planet in the beginning of the Guardians of the Galaxy in 2014, Natasha kicks an Orloni, which is exactly what Peter Quill did to that thing in the opening credits of Guardians. And we once again hear Redbone's "Come and Get Your Love" from the Volume 1 mixtape, but I love this so much, and it's also Back to the Future reference, just being able to see things from a different perspective now, and that perspective has Nebula and Rhodey hearing Quill singing it out loud from a distance, but they can't hear the music, it's in the soundtrack, so it makes them look like even more of an idiot.
They were able to grab the orb from the temple easily enough, but Nebula gets stuck behind because her network gets crosswired with past Nebula, who, along with Gamora, was still a child of Thanos here. When the sisters realize that Thanos has found the first Infinity Stone, Gamora expresses some hesitation. Well, it's the first of 6. Her subtle doubt here masks a hidden concern about Thanos' overall plot, which will later justify past Gamora's sudden decision to switch sides. And while learning about Nebula's connection with the Avengers, past Thanos calls them unruly, which is a nod to the post-credits scene that revealed the MCU Thanos, in which the other described the Avengers this exact way.
They are unruly, and therefore cannot be ruled.
And also, I'm going to die suddenly when Ronan stabs my neck.
And finally, the Soul Stone on Boromir, which Nebula earlier described as a dominion of death at the very center celestial existence. Her use of the term celestial could be a nod to Marvel's Celestials. They're ancient godlike beings whom we know from the Collector's story in Guardians of the Galaxy, and they have a history with the Infinity Stones. Red Skull told Thanos that the Soul Stone has a special wisdom unique to the other stones. Perhaps the Celestials established the Soul Stone on Vormir with a Stone Keeper and this blood sacrifice, all to make it extremely difficult for anyone to gather all the stones.
As Clint and Natasha head to Vormir, Clint says, "We're kind of a long way from Budapest," referencing the backstory between these two, alluded to in the first Avengers movie.
Just like Budapest all over again.
You and I remember Budapest very differently.
In Captain Marvel, Nick Fury mentioned only ever working in cities that begin with the letter B, leading some speculation that the Black Widow solo movie could be a prequel with Hawkeye and Fury finally showing us whatever the hell happened in Budapest. And when these two meet Red Skull, he greets them as Natasha, son of Ivan, Clint, son of Edith. Remember, Red Skull greeted Thanos as son of Alas, Alas being the name of his father. The fact that Red Skull greets Clint as son of Edith Barton, his mother, could be a nod to the comics where Clint was abused by his father and was really more connected to his mom. Perhaps Red Skull, as the keeper of the Soul Stone, has some insight to see which parental figure really defined your soul and identity.
Natasha says she never even knew her father named Ivan, so some are saying her father could be Ivan Vanko, Whiplash from Iron Man 2, but I don't think so. Ivan is also one of the most common Russian names. Also, after a heartbreaking but kind of badass struggle, Natasha sacrifices herself so that Clint can get the stone, restaging the same pose and the exact same music of Gamora's death in Infinity War. Natasha dying here means that the Gamora of this timeline never needs to. It's a life for a life. Balance, as all things should be.
That brings us to the end of the second act, and as we're looking ahead at this third act, we realize there is so much more that we want to break down, so many Easter eggs, so many connections to everything else, and this has been a long video. It's a 3-hour long movie we're breaking down, so we want to give this next act its due diligence, and really the third act of the movie is pretty much its own movie all on its own, so we're going to break it down in a separate breakdown. It's going to come out tomorrow if it's not up already. We're going to explain the insane amounts of Easter eggs and Marvel cameos, how this new Thanos makes the Thanos from Infinity War look like a saint, and how the hell Cap left this timeline or timelines.
Like, I bet you're wondering, did he have to interact with Red Skull again to get the Soul Stone back? Can you put the Soul Stone back? Who knows? We'll cover that all in that next video. But for the meantime, let us know which past timeline you wish Endgame spent more time exploring. Comment down below with your thoughts. Also keep an eye out for part 2 of this breakdown. And subscribe to the new Rockstars Marvel podcast. It's called Inside Marvel. This is gonna be on there. The next one's gonna be on there. And mind blown, the podcast will have this content sooner. So if you can't wait, go there, get it as soon as you can. Anywhere you get your podcast, iTunes, Spotify. Follow me on Twitter at Fimo and on Instagram at Philip Molina.
Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EAVoss.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
We did it. Oh wait, no, we have a whole other video.
Oh God, no.
Oh boy.
Oh.
Well, back to work. Hi, I'm Eric Voss.
And I'm Philip Molina.
And Avengers Endgame concluded with the most epic crossover battle sequence that hatched open every MCU Easter egg from the past 11 years and scrambled them into an omelet that we love 3000.
So, we had to split our freaking Avengers Endgame breakdown into 2 in-depth halves. So this is part 2 right now. Go check out part 1 if you haven't already for all the missable details. In that artful way the filmmakers set up this part of the finale. Honestly, this all plays like its own movie, so it's worthy of its own video analyzing it.
Spoiler warning in case we ruin your life with this analysis. And let's pick up where we left off. The Avengers having returned from their time heist, 6 Infinity Stones richer, but 1 Black Widow poorer.
And then Thor wants to use the stones to bring her back, but Clint assures him, nah dog, it can't be done. Last episode we actually explained how Endgame's description of Vormir as the center of celestial existence could hint at maybe a connection to the Marvel Celestials, which would make the blood sacrifice for the Soul Stone irreversible.
Stark designs his own Infinity Gauntlet, which, unlike Thanos' gauntlet, goes on the right hand. Thanos is using his left hand to destroy half of all life, and the Avengers are using their right hand to bring it back. It's another example of the spiritual undercurrent of Infinity War and Endgame. Left-handedness in Judeo-Christian tradition was once seen as wrong and evil. They used to force unfortunate left-handed kids to use their right hands. We've come a long way. Since the power of the Infinity Stones is a godly power, it makes sense for Stark to identify his gauntlet as the one to set the universe back on the right path.
So then Thor volunteers to use the gauntlet, claiming to be the strongest Avenger. That's my Thor impression. It's nothing.
Perfect.
This is a callback to Ragnarok when Thor tries to identify himself to the Quinjet as strongest Avenger.
Strongest Avenger.
Access denied.
Then Banner logs in and the computer's like, yeah, strongest Avenger.
What?
So, staying true to that, it's Banner/Hulk who steps up, and he reminds us that the stones emit gamma radiation, which is the same radiation that gave him his powers, and that maybe Banner was born exactly for this moment. This connection was established way back in the first Avengers when Nick Fury brought in Bruce Banner because of his gamma radiation detection technology that could be used to track Loki's movement with the stones.
Banner screams as a gauntlet and stones burn his arm, and the others consider taking it off, but Cap checks in with them, asking if he can handle it. This recalls the moment of Cap's supercharge experiment in his first movie when he screamed in agony, and Tony's father, Howard, almost shut it all down, but Cap screamed back, "No!
No! I can do this!"
So while all this is happening, Nebula, who is actually her evil 2014 self who snuck back into the present with the others, she uses the quantum tunnel to beam up Thanos' entire warship from the past. Now, to clear up any confusion, yes, the Avengers were only supposed to have enough pin particles for a round trip for themselves alone, but according to the filmmakers, Ebony Maw is like a brilliant scientist, and anything they need him to be apparently. He could reverse engineer the pin particle technology from 2014 Nebula's stolen bile, and they could use that to bring Thanos, his ship, his Black Order, and his entire army to the future.
So even though Banner is successful in snapping everyone back, we don't get to enjoy it for too long because Thanos wrecks Avengers HQ. And let's take a moment to compare this Thanos to who Thanos was in Infinity War. Thanos came into Infinity War already accomplishing the unprecedented feat of collecting 2 Infinity Stones. That makes Thanos kind of a Zen-like deity throughout that movie. He takes off his armor, he cries at one point, he tells Stark,
I hope they remember you.
He tells Wanda,
I understand my child better than anyone.
This guy's empathy. He wants to retire on a farm. And he killed Vision, which, some of us were actually kind of okay with.
That is not okay, but kind of.
But this 2014 Thanos is still a hungry warmonger. He's younger, he's stronger, still armored, still packing, farming. He's still wants blood. And his response to learning his future snap doesn't lead to a grateful universe is to tear this universe to shreds and start over. Kill everyone. Much like the one-dimensional SOB that Thanos is in the comics.
Hey, these are a lot of judgments against Thanos. Thanos, I think that you have a point. Anyway, in the ruins of HQ, Thanos did nothing wrong.
He did some things wrong.
Yeah, he did. In the ruins of their HQ, Banner/Hulk holds up a huge chunk of rubble to protect Rhodey and Rocket, just like the comics image, actually, from Secret Wars #4, and that leaves Stark, Cap, and Thor on the surface, which are kind of like the Holy Marvel Trinity.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are left to confront the Mad Titan. So when Thor charges up his combined power of Stormbreaker and Meow Meow, his shaggy beard twists into that sweet braid of a Norse god.
The fight choreography of this 3-on-1 fight is filled with callbacks to Marvel past. Thor blasts lightning into Stark's suit, which Stark uses to supercharge his repulsors, just like Thor accidentally did with his lightning in the first Avengers. And Thanos pins Thor, pushing Stormbreaker into his chest, a reversal of when Thor didn't go for Thanos' head in Infinity War. And of course, the most epic visual of this movie, the rise of Mjolnir, wielded by Captain Captain America. Thor cheers, I knew it! Because this is a callback to the test of strength in Age of Ultron when Cap slightly budged Mjolnir, causing Thor to briefly freak out that someone else might be worthy. You know, I like to think that Cap could have lifted Mjolnir in that moment, but he decided to hold back to spare Thor's pride. Apparently, when Thor loses his pride, he loses his workout routine and turns into melted ice cream.
Then Cap tosses his shield and throws Mjolnir into it, creating a powerful clang shockwave that knocks Thanos off his feet. He's calling back actually that same team-up move with him and Thor back in Age of Ultron. But Thanos, 4 years younger, remember, 4 years hotter, he's more battle hungry than his older self was. He beats down all three of them in this moment, and he breaks Cap's shield, which is a nod not only to the Infinity Gauntlet comics, but we're finally seeing the nightmare vision that Tony had way back in Age of Ultron. That's all in the surroundings here. The rubble, the coming Leviathans, all the visuals are Stark's worst fears becoming realized.
Thanos assembles his full army, including the Black Order and the Chitauri, the Leviathans. Cap gets to his feet and faces Thanos alone. Another epic visual from the Infinity Gauntlet comics, the moment Cap limps up to Thanos and says, as long as one man stands against you, Thanos, you'll never be able to claim victory. But then, back up, the voice of Sam Wilson comes in saying, on your left, a callback to Cap and Falcon's recurring line from Winter Soldier.
On your left. On your left. On your left.
On your left.
And at the end of the movie, Sam greets Old Man Cap on his left.
Get it?
Yes.
Because he's more liberal. So then the slingering portals from Doc Strange and Wong open, and they return pretty much everyone who's available to the battle. We're talking Black Panther, we're talking Shuri, Okoye from Wakanda. They're joined by the combined tribal forces with M'Baku chanting Ibambe, their battle cry from Infinity War that translates to hold fast. Bucky and Groot also, of course, join them. Doctor Strange brings in Drax and Mantis and Star-Lord and Peter Parker, all from Titan, and the remaining Asgardian soldiers. We're talking Korg, Meek, Valkyrie on her freaking Pegasus, alongside Scarlet Witch on nothing, plus all of the sorcerers that Wong could gather, Hope Van Dyne, and behind